Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Business and Experts Forum. I hope that you've had a good week and you're ready to come share some knowledge with us today. As I say every episode, the reason behind Business and Expert Forum is to develop people and businesses through knowledge sharing. Now, what the forum does is that it features successful business executives, budding businesses, and prospective entrepreneurs. We also highlight the progress and achievements made by people who are willing to go the extra mile to improve their lifestyles, the lifestyles of those around them. And we do this by discussing some of the strategies that they have adopted, some of the approaches that they've used. This forum also features people who are experts in their field, people who are specialists in their field, and they come in to share knowledge on everyday topical issues such as technology, finance, medicine, engineering, entertainment, social media, and the law, to name a few. So if you're someone who wants to either go into business to improve your business processes or gain knowledge, or if you want to develop your passion and talent into a business venture, then this forum is for you. We are live every 2 weeks on Mondays at 7 p.m. British Summer Time. And please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and to click on the bell so that when there is a new episode, you get to see the schedule. Right, tonight we have with us a young man whose talents were obvious right from the age 6. And he has grown up making tremendous strides in using those talents and other self development techniques to become a very successful and fulfilled personality. He's a musician, property investment guru, and has applied his music talent in nurturing young talent in the area of music. He's a very humble young man who has achieved so much, and he's still only 24 years. He's here tonight to share with us some of the story of his journey and some of the principles and strategies he has applied, which have worked for him and may work for you and I too. I'm ready to learn as well. We are here to learn tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Samuel Stephen Asamoah to the Business and Express Forum.
For having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. You called me a property guru. I laughed.
You are a property. Well,
I
you
laughed.
know what? Our audience are going to understand why I say you're a property guru. Having
Ah,
discussed with you, Stephen, and some of the things that you are doing, I tell
yeah.
you that the right term I think we can use for you is no other than property guru.
Amen.
So welcome to the show, and it's a real pleasure to have you here because
Thank you for
yeah,
having me.
you're such a. I mean, the audience will get to understand what I mean by it's a real pleasure to have you because there's a lot we can learn from you tonight. So we're gonna go straight to the point. I mean, you are a musician to
Mm.
start with. Can you tell us briefly, how that journey started in music?
Yeah. So with the music, I am predominantly a drummer. Now, I will say, people always ask, "Oh, where did you learn?" And I always say, to be honest, for me, I just know it's a gift. Just a gift I had from a very
It's a
young age.
talent.
Yeah, that I was blessed with from about the age of 3. I was playing drums, and then by the time I reached 6, I was playing in church. I was playing. My mum is a Presbyterian in her church, and then from there, as I got older, when I got to school, I started playing in the school bands and stuff, and then through that, I started just, that's when social media began kind of, and I started connecting with people, and then from there, I started playing in like a few churches, and then I started playing a few like local shows, and then fast forward, you meet more people, one thing leads to another, and then, here I am today, still actively doing music, touring and doing a lot of stuff day in, day out, music wise.
Following on from you, kind of knowing what the talent is and exhibiting those talents, you have joined a group
Mm,
to form a band because I know you are in a band and you play on a lot
yeah.
of shows very
Mhm.
successfully. Um,
Yeah.
what prompted you to join the band? I mean, and how did
So,
you meet your
yeah,
bandmates?
what's funny? I always say that I had no desire to play in a band in my life because I just was someone, I'm very individualistic when I'm doing stuff. So I didn't want to ever get entangled with, emotions and issues and all of that. But then my dad was always saying to me, "Oh, you have to get in a band, be like Phil Collins and all these big guys." And then so what actually happened was the guys, so the band is called the Composers, and they had already existed because they're a bit older than me. They had already existed. Now they were friends. Well, at the time, this was maybe 2011. If you were a musician, you knew who the composers were. So I would
Okay.
sometimes even be at events, and I would see them come to play, and I'm like, there's the composers. And then they were actually friends with my elder sister from
Okay.
school. So sometimes she would say to them, "Oh, you guys should take my brother. My brother plays drums." They had a drummer at the time anyway. And so what happened was he decided he wanted to kind of go down the avenue that I was in at the time, which is just
Okay.
playing for different artists, but he wanted to do it on a bigger scale. So he
Okay.
started getting like really big opportunities, meaning he
Right.
wasn't able to attend to the band stuff. So then one day, I think I was about 14 or 15, and then one of the guys called me. He was like, "This is Charles, one of the keyboard players." He's like, "Hey, we have a show. Do you want to come and play?" And I was like, like these guys are calling me to come and play them. So I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm there." So I went, and then one show it turned to two shows, three shows. I started doing a lot more shows with them. And then when I was 16, actually, this is when I had finished my GCSEs. I actually didn't even go and collect my results,
Okay.
because I was with them. We was playing a show in Spain. So at 16, then they said, a new manager came in and was like, "Look, we want to take this thing to like a new level." And it was Stephen. I really want you to be a part of it. And I said, "You know what? Why not? Like, I really like you guys. I don't have any elder brothers. So I took them as my big brothers, and then from there, God was so good to us. Like from the first 2 years, we even did so much. And this will actually be our so 8 years we've been doing this now.
Oh,
We've
okay.
been doing this together, and like
And
the milestones that we've reached. Like sometimes when I even think about it, I'm like, this is crazy. Like something that started just as a small
small
idea,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
we managed to take it to this level. So,
Oh,
yeah, so that's kind of how I got into that. And even still around that, I'm still doing things with like other artists here and there. Like I work a bit with Osibisa. So Osibisa is like a big
okay.
band from Ghana, yeah.
Mm.
So their former drummer was Uncle KB
Yes. Yeah.
passed away a few years ago, and he was like a mentor to me as well. So when he passed away, everyone was like, "Oh, who do we get to replace?" And then I came recommended. So I've been playing with them since 2016, and so recorded on their new album, play shows as well here and there, and then there's a few other like people that I work with closely as well.
Okay. So
Yeah,
interesting. I mean, it's been a journey. It's been a journey for you. I mean, identifying the talent and using the talent, but also opportunity comes your way and you kind of jump at it. Do
yeah.
you? I mean, you are a very talented young man, Stephen.
So,
Having spoken with you, um, do you only play the drums? And also just before you answer that question, I know that when it comes to playing instruments, drum. The last time I spoke with you,
mm.
you were actually tuning, to use the word, you're actually tuning the drums. I mean, I know you tune string
String
instruments,
instruments, yeah.
but to tune the drums, that to me was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
So do you only play the drums to start with? Do you only play drums or do you play other
No,
instruments?
yeah. So I taught myself how to play the bass and how to play the keyboard. I don't say it much because I don't want anyone to start calling me to come and play keyboard, to come and play bass in place. I mean, sometimes at church, I will, if someone's running late, I'll jump on and play the keys. A lot of the time when I went into production, started producing for people, that's what forced me to. I was like, every time I need to produce something, I can't call someone to come to the studio. So I just decided, let me learn the keyboard, because in school anyway, it was compulsory actually
Okay.
when I did music GCSE to learn the piano. So I had a basic understanding, but then I decided to go further. And then sometimes at church, like I'll just pick up the bass guitar and start messing around. So yeah, I taught myself those two instruments as well. So yeah, I
Oh,
play
okay.
those as well. And then in
So,
regards to the tuning of the drums, yeah, you actually tune drums because
okay.
there is also a melodic side to drums a little bit if you really understand the instrument. So
Right.
you get different sounds, different tones out of the drums when you tune them. So yeah, that's why every now and again you'll see me tuning my drums.
Okay, okay. You know, what, we do have a video of you playing the drums,
Mm,
and I just want our audience just to have
okay. Yeah,
a snapshot of that video just to see.
Yeah.
what determine the level of your talent in playing the drums. And then after that, we'll ask some questions because I can
Mm.
see there are some questions in the chat as well.
Okay.
So my technical director will be bringing in the video. Yep.
Let's make it happen. Put your lights in the air once I lights up, lights up, lights up, lights up, lights up, lights up. Put your phone lights up right now.
So that's you with your back towards the camera.
Yeah.
Put your phone
That's
lights
my
up,
personal
lights up,
camera
lights
that I
up,
always
lights up.
take with me.
I need to see the lights in the air right about
So
now.
who was the artist on this show?
This was David O. So he was in LA, Los
It was in
Angeles.
LA.
Yeah, and this was just before the pandemic. Literally,
Okay.
like probably a week before the pandemic went out of control.
Okay. You know the thing that fascinates me about drumming is how you're able to coordinate all those units.
Yeah, but it's easier than you think. I mean, you're an accountant, so you're good with numbers. So, but the fact that you're good with numbers, it'll be easy.
Okay.
Let's go.
Look at that.
What? Los Angeles makes a boy. If I tell you, say I love you. Let's go. Say, my money, my body, now your own. Oh, baby. How much I get, how much I get? 30 billion for the account, yo. Say, Versace and Gucci for
Man,
your
COVID
body,
ruined this
oh,
for us, man.
baby.
Okay, that's really interesting. And you
Yeah,
see the thing about I know about Stephen about you is that when it comes to music, you did not just stop there by playing the music, but you went ahead to start up a company in 2007, which you called Future Music Services. And
yeah,
the interesting thing about that company you set up
mm,
is that you nurture, you
mhm,
identify young talent, and you nurture them. Can
yeah,
you tell us a little bit about Future Music Services? Because
yeah.
I think
So
that's a good area.
yeah, so how that came about. So when I was younger, about 10, 11, and I would people would say, oh, what do you want to be? In my heart, I always knew I wanted to be a drummer. I always knew but I didn't think it was cool because at the time every boy, it's either you're a footballer or you want to be a rapper or something. So I didn't think so I would just say I want to be a businessman. That's what
Okay.
I would say. So it got to a point I said, I want to take this thing serious. I want to actually develop some business and create like another income stream. So I said, what do I want to do? And I started getting a lot of inquiries from people, especially in like, when I'd go and play at churches and stuff like that. They'll be like, oh, do you teach? Do you teach?
Hmm.
And those inquiries started coming quite a bit. And I said, why not? Like, why not go out and start teaching, drums? So what I decided to do is, so at the time, a friend of mine had a studio. And I said to him, I said, look, I want to teach. Do you mind me using your space? And we were good friends. And he was like, yeah, come through and do it. Um, no charge. And I said, that's fine. And then what happened was, I think about 2 months in, he lost the space. And I
Okay.
quickly saw, okay, cool. That means I lose my business as well because I don't have a premises. So quickly I went out and I found a studio space and then I, renovated the space. And then I set up this studio and developed this business, Future Music Services. So I centered it around just kind of giving opportunities to young people all across music. So musical tuition, artist development, and talent management, as well as music consultancy. And then there's smaller parts where like hiring out instruments and sound equipment. You can rent the studio for stuff as well. So yeah,
Is is that business still running?
yeah, still running. It was hard in COVID. I won't lie, it was hard in COVID. But now that COVID's kind of out of the way, like things are picking up, and like there's a lot of like plans going into it, and partnerships being created to kind of push it in a very philanthropic way now. Like that's
Okay.
kind of where my headspace is. Yeah. So and it's been good. I had a lot of young people come in. Parents bringing their kids to me like after school to learn instruments, to learn drums, and then we obviously I set it up in a way where I didn't want it to be. I think one thing for me is any business I had, I didn't want it to be based on me as the individual, but I wanted it to be based on just the business itself. I wanted the business name to be strong. So, I
Okay.
started setting it up in a way where we had keyboard lessons, bass guitar lessons, vocal lessons. So, just that it becomes a trusted service that I can call any of these I can call this company, I can get drum lessons, I can get guitar lessons, and so on. So yeah, that it was good. It was really good. We had clients coming to the studio. Sometimes I would even go out to their homes and do the lessons. And then, I mean, when the pandemic came, then it just made everything hard, you know, to for people to come to a space. Everyone is obviously scared. It's not really advisable for me to go to people as well. So, you know, I didn't give up. You know, all I did, you know, as in business, you just adapt. So I was just adapting to new ways. So I started
Okay.
we did like some I started setting up online, you know, like
Okay.
online platform. And what I quickly realized was this is actually good because this actually because one thing I do get a lot is inquiries from people in like Ghana and Nigeria and like saying
Mm.
they would love for me to teach them. And I'm kind of like, you're in Ghana,
Okay.
I can't
Okay.
teach you from here. But so
Yeah.
when I decided to do the online thing and I was drawing up my plans, I was like, wow, like this will really allow me to reach those people as well. So at that point, I'm invincible. I can just, you know, I can reach anybody anywhere, which was really good.
Okay, okay, that's really good because it's obvious that you are, I mean, in the midst of the pandemic and
Mhm.
what other people may call misfortune, you found ways of adapting your business to make sure that
100%.
business to grow. What I want to find out from you is, was there, I mean, age limits in terms of people who can come and learn from your
Yeah.
future music services? Because
Mhm.
obviously you started off playing on cooking pans when you were only 6. I mean, did
Yeah.
that was that a motivation for you to say, okay, I want to focus on very very young talent because I
Mhm.
kind of my talent kind of showing itself when I was only
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah. So what I decided, I mean, I was very open to any age at a time. But then I kind of started realizing it's not practical to have a child under 7 years coming to learn. And that's just because they don't retain information. So I
Okay.
remember there was one parent, she brought her son who was about 3 and she was so keen. It was his birthday and she brought him and she wanted him to start drum lessons. And I said to her, look, I said, I love your kid. You know, he's a really sweet child. But I, I, I I operate my business very ethically, and I wouldn't want to just have you bring in your child and you're paying for the hour and I'm making money from it, but he's not learning anything. You're just
Hmm.
wasting your money. So I said it's better he comes back when he's about 7 years old. He can
Okay.
retain information. He understands things a bit more because when they're that age, and you might even see at church, like kids, they just want to literally just smash things. Like when you try to sit down and teach them, it's harder. So
Right.
I kind of tell people from 7 years upwards we're happy to take on like kids to come and learn, and it goes far. I've had people who are like 35 come for lessons. They want to
Okay.
just learn how to play the instrument or
Definitely not for 60-year-olds.
not, but anyone, anybody, because for some people it's they used to have an interest in it or they've always
Okay.
wanted to do it, and do you
I
know what, I'm
never
just
had
gonna
a
do it.
chance.
Yeah, they never had a chance. So it's for some people it's a really good I had one student, they just found it as a very good recreational activity, just
Yeah.
something to just come and do like as a hobby. So
Oh, okay.
but for
That's
some
interesting.
people, yeah, it's different reasons they go
So,
into it.
so if I have a child who is interested in music, or
Mhm.
I can see that they have that talent in
Yeah,
music, and I want to enroll them on your
yeah.
future music services, how do I get through to you?
Yeah, so we have our Instagram page, which is literally Future Music Services, where like all the information is there, all the contact information is there, and it's simple. We send all the booking prices, the available time slots, and it's a very, I operate in a very flexible way.
Okay.
So myself and like all the other tutors, we're very flexible. So it's not like we open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. We do it in a way that will suit people. Sometimes I find myself teaching on Sunday evenings. Someone might come. Sometimes it might be early in the morning, after school, in the middle of the day. So it's very flexible. It's
Okay.
everything. I try to make everything tailored to suit the client more than anything.
Okay, okay, that's
Yeah.
good. So, well, if you are in the audience and you've only just joined us, we've got Mr. Stephen Asemiadua, who is a multi-talented young man. He is into music, specifically into drumming. He is into property business. I refer to him as a property guru. He doesn't really like that, but that's what I want to call him. And also, he is also into crypto. We'll talk about the crypto bit later.
Leave that
You
for
know,
Jeffrey.
he's a cut across board, and he's a very enterprising young man. So it's something for every one of us to learn on this program. And that's the whole idea about this program: share knowledge and learn. So, what are some of the costs with enrolling, if you don't mind me asking? If I
Yeah.
want to
So
enroll my child, how much does it cost me to enroll my child?
so we do an hour for £35, an
Okay.
hour and a half is £45, and then 2 hours is £60. But then we
Okay.
also do bulk packages as well. So let's say if
Okay.
somebody wanted to do like a block of 8,
Right.
we'd obviously discount the price and
Right.
stuff like that. Maybe if one parent had 2 children, instead of £35 each, we could do something like 27.50 each. So there's always ways to make it
Oh, okay.
suitable for
Okay.
everybody.
Okay. Okay. So just for the audience, once again, the my music director just put the Instagram name on the screen. So it's Future Music Services. So if you
Yeah.
go into Instagram, Future Music Services, you should see the opportunities there for young ones if you want to. Now, so what have been some of the challenges you faced with Future Music Services? Because obviously every business has got challenges. It
Yeah.
couldn't be.
I think some of the biggest challenges was definitely do you know what? I think the challenges came more recently, because when it started, it was actually quite cool. I was really enjoying it. But the challenges came um when I reached a point where I really wanted to expand the business and push the business further. But what I was facing was that it was like everything is me. Do you get what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like I'm funding everything, I'm doing everything. So thankfully, I managed to get like a little team with me. So I have a team of 3 people that work with me in the business now. So I'm able to like delegate different tasks. COVID was definitely one of the biggest challenges, like very, very big challenge, because obviously that just shut down people to people interaction. So
Yeah.
I'm not able to teach. I mean, the studio was able to run in a way like under the cards because a lot of people had more time, they wanted to be more creative, so I could give them the studio space, but I just had to put like little things in place like sanitize your hands, like when you're coming in, no more than 1 or 2 people. I need to know who's coming in, all these kind of things. So that's probably the biggest challenge I've definitely faced so far. I'd say in the beginning, before I got other tutors involved or like asking people to teach, that against my schedule wasn't always the easiest thing as well, because sometimes people want me to teach, but sometimes I'm not in the country because I'm touring, or I'm here but I need to be somewhere else, and all those different things. So
What about you talked about funding? How did you finance all of that? Because obviously, if you're going to be teaching music, you
yeah,
need musical instruments.
yeah.
So obviously, you may have to either lease musical instruments
Mm.
or buy musical instruments by yourself. How did you finance
Yeah,
that part of
so
the
with
business?
with with that side, again, it was all me. I literally funded everything. So I'm someone. I'm when I'm doing something, like if I say I want to do this, okay, cool. For the next however many weeks, months, whatever I'm getting paid, everything is going towards this. So that's kind of how I was operating. In terms of like drums and stuff, I'm fortunate to have like endorsements with drum companies, so they give me stuff for free.
Okay.
So I had about well, even currently, I have about 4 different kits. And at the time when I was starting, I think I had about 5. So what I did, I took 2 and put 2 in the studio. So one for me, one for the student, and then I went and bought like a keyboard for the studio, and then all the other equipment. And obviously it wasn't everything in one go, but I got the necessities, and then just bit by bit, make a bit more from stuff. Buy this, add this, bit by bit.
So let's go back to the funding again. Were
Mm.
you working and gaining, having some income and using that income to kind of subsidize the music services
Yeah.
business? Was that what you're doing at the time?
Yeah, so I mean, I've never had a job. I've always played music as my job.
Okay.
So everything I was getting paid from playing shows and stuff, that's
Right.
what I was putting into the business.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's what you meant. So you
yeah,
basically you kind of recycle the income that
yeah. Just
comes in just
recycle my
to
money. Yeah,
expand the business.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. That's really good. So one other thing that you're doing very well in
Mm,
Steven is properties.
yeah,
And we're going to spend the rest of the time talking about properties. Can you just start by telling us how that journey in property started briefly? Then we can
yeah.
go into a
So
bit more detail.
the property stuff started 2020 January. So again, I've just always been a lover of business. And when I listen to a lot of, one thing I'm big on is just like, listening to self motivation, self development, reading books, and a lot of the big business people I follow, their one thing they always talk about is real estate, real estate. So I always knew it was something I'm going to do, but in my mind, I was always like, okay, I need to like hit a big pot of money, or
Right.
like make a big pot of money,
Okay.
buy a house, rent it, save up again, buy another house, rent it, and then so on. So one day, I stumbled across a random video on YouTube of this lady talking about her investment properties. And then I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Then she had done an interview with the guy that taught her how to invest in property. So
Okay.
then what I did, I will never forget this day. It was like January the 19th or something. And I was in my room, and I probably sat for about 4 hours just watching every video this guy had, like just learning about this property thing. And I quickly realized that it's a much more creative industry than a lot of people know. And
Okay.
it's actually easier to get into than people think. So there and then I literally booked on, he has courses he
Mhm.
provides. I booked onto one of the courses, I went to the course, and then that day, like I was just like a child, like hearing all these things, hearing all the like success
Sponge
stories from
absorbing.
people. Yeah, just absorbing everything. And I'm just like, wow, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, I have to do this. Like, I have to do this because, I was getting to a point, even just going back a little bit, where obviously the music stuff is cool, but
Yeah.
I'm doing the music, I'm running this business, this future music service business. I'm like,
Yeah.
so money I'm making from music, I need to live off of that, but I need to put it into the business. I was like, I need to create something else because,
Yeah.
really and truly, a lot of businesses in your first 2 to 3 years, you don't really make any profit anyway. It's just
No.
about the sustainability of the business.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of money's going in. So I was like, I need that extra thing to come into my income streams. And I was like, after going to the course and hearing, like, it was as simple as you can start this today if you really want to. So I was kind of like, yeah, man, I have to start this. So a strategy that I really fell in love with was a strategy called rent to rent. And rent to rent is essentially you lease properties.
Right.
So
Just let me stop you there before you start talking
mhm.
about rent because we'll get to those in details. But I
Okay,
just want to pick
okay,
up a few things that you've said
sure,
because
sure.
you did mention that you stumbled upon that video.
Yeah.
You spent 4 hours
Hmm.
watching the videos and you didn't stop there. You went ahead and you enrolled on the course.
Yeah.
You went there open minded, absorbed as much as you could.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm highlighting some of these key strategies is
Yeah.
because somebody will look at you and think you've made it overnight. But the
Yeah.
point I want to highlight here is that you put in some work.
Yeah.
Apart from
Definitely.
apart from from money that you put in, you've also put in time.
Yeah.
You put in time to be sure that you learn to do things the right way. You
Yeah.
didn't just jump up and
Uh-huh.
just run with the little bit of
Yeah.
knowledge that you had. You spend time to learn more in more detail, just to be sure that whatever you come up with is perfect. And I
Yeah.
think that's the point that I wanted to raise with
Yeah, and
that.
it's very important. Like, it's very, very important because there's two aspects to a lot of this stuff. One is the knowledge, and the second part, which I think is very important, is the action. Because a
Right.
lot of people, they go to the courses, they learn the stuff, but then they don't take action,
That's
which is the
correct.
biggest problem. And I think in any entrepreneurial field, what you can't be afraid of is failure. Like,
Right.
you're gonna make mistakes. It's inevitable. Like, there's not one person that's done business and from day one they just got it right. Like, you
Right.
might even have years of failing and failing and failing and failing and failing, and but it's the consistency. And property is definitely one industry you need a lot of resilience and tenacity, because you hit a lot of brick walls, you face a lot of obstacles, but if you just give up from the first day, then it's just like, what's the point? You're just wasting your time. So yeah, definitely taking the steps to acquire the knowledge is very, very important. Take the action. Action is so important. I'm someone, like, I try everything. If I lose money, it's fine. I'll make it again. If I fail, it's fine. I can try again. Like, so that's just something I've just had to build over time.
It's interesting you are talking about this because you see a lot of the things that become deterrent to a lot of us is just a fear of failure.
Yeah.
sometimes we just feel, look, I'm just gonna fail. Even before we try, we we feel that there's failure on the other side for us. And I can see someone is just put in the chat resilience and tenacity,
Yeah.
discipline. I think discipline is key.
Discipline. Very.
Discipline is key. Hard work, tenacity, resilience. You just don't give up. You just keep
Yeah.
going. Now, when it comes to property business,
Yeah.
a lot of us think of property in a traditional way.
Yeah.
We think of it as buy to let,
Yep.
or we think of it as buy the property and live in it
Yeah.
and wait for it to appreciate in value,
Appreciate value.
and then you sell it.
Mm-hmm.
But you said one of the things you said is that there are different strategies, or there are
Yeah.
different things you can do with property. So
Yeah.
I wanted you to, if you could, highlight a few of the what you learned, and also,
Yeah.
but then focus on the things that you are doing, because I know you are focusing on two aspects of property. So tell us a little bit about what you think you can do with property, but then focus then into what you are actually doing. We can take it
Yeah.
one by one.
So yeah, as you said, there's obviously the traditional methods that everybody knows, which is the standard buy to let. You put down your 25%, and you can rent your property, or you save and you buy your own house. And I mean, there's no right or wrong way. Let me just say that as well. It's just what suits you. Right? Again, there's things that people don't know. So I mean, in the education aspect, when I was there, I learned stuff like deal sourcing. The deal sourcing is, for example, you literally go out there, you find properties that are tailored to. So let's say I'm an investor, you're a
Right.
deal sourcer. Hey, Stephen, what kind of properties are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for 3 bedroom that I can make a extension, a loft conversion, and rent it out. That's what I'm looking for. You go out there, you find me that property, you bring it to me. Deal sources on average per deal will charge you, and I'm talking entry level, about 2,500 to £3,000 for just sourcing you one property. And I've connected with some sources; they sell about 10 deals every month. So in a month, they're
Right.
making about 25 to 30 grand from
Right.
just with that. You don't have to buy the house, you don't have to go through any legal processes. You just locate, you negotiate. You're essentially the
Right.
middleman.
Right.
You negotiate and you sell it to the investor. That's it. You could be a property manager. So, for example, maybe someone has a portfolio of properties. You say,
Yeah.
hey, look, let me manage your portfolio for you. And, with that property management, anywhere you make about 8 to 10% on that. So, let's say somebody has 10 houses and each one makes them £1,000 every month. Of those properties, you get £100 for just managing. And
Yeah.
management, you don't really do anything. You just go there and you check the house. So you're making an additional £1,000 to your income every month just by literally going and checking the house. You have rent to rent, which is what I'm doing. I'll go into a bit more
Okay.
detail. You have buy, refurbish, refinance, again, which is what I'm doing.
Right.
Again, I'll go into a bit more detail.
Yeah.
So many things: land development. There's property trading, like
Mm-hmm.
lease options. Lease options is a great thing. It's a bit technical, but lease options is, for example, you might be in a negative equity in your house and you just want out. And then I come to you and I say, look, how much do you want for this house? And you tell me £250,000. And then, okay, I say, do you need the money right now? And you might say, I'm not dying for the money right now. I say, okay, cool. Give me the house. Obviously, we have to get a solicitor involved. We
To
change all the
value.
documents. I now
Yeah.
start paying the mortgage. We
Right.
agree for 5 years. I'm going to pay for this, and I'll pay you in 5 years' time. And loads of people are doing this. In 5 years' time, you'll get £250,000 cash, but you're not paying for the mortgage no more. You don't have to worry about the bills. I've now got the house. I'm renting it. In the 5 years, I will appreciate from the value that has increased, and I
Yeah.
own the home. So there's so many creative ways in this industry, and even till today, I'm still learning like new things people are doing. Like people are creating new ways of doing things. So it's really interesting. It's very broad.
Very interesting. So you mentioned the rent to rent,
Yeah,
and I know you are into rent to rent, and also I know you're into investments
yeah,
on property. So can you just elaborate on those two a little bit
yeah,
for people to understand? But it's interesting you mentioned things about deal source. I mean, these are very technical stuff. So
yeah.
if there is time, we'll delve into a little bit more about
Definitely,
some of them.
definitely.
But for now, let's focus on the investment bit and then also
Uh-huh.
the rent to rent.
So starting with rent to rent. So what rent to rent is, the name is in the pudding. You know, you rent a property off of someone and then you rent it again. So with rent to rent, you have to be very good with your numbers,
Right.
creating your margins, and you have to be specific with the kind of properties you're looking for. So
Right.
we have rent to rent HMO, which is what I'm doing. So HMO is household multiple occupancy, and we have rent to SA, which is serviced accommodation. So these are properties you'll find on Airbnb,
Right.
Booking.com for like, 2-3 day lets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not into the service accommodation. It's great, but I just think it's not for me. With HMO, I'm able to. So what I do is I let the properties out to either students or
Students, yeah.
professional tenants.
Mm-hmm.
So my houses will have either like, I might take a house that is 3 bedrooms and 2 receptions, and I'll take it into a five. I'll make it a 4 or 5 bed house, depending on if it has a large kitchen. I can
Right.
make the kitchen the communal space for all the tenants, or I might do 4 bedrooms and have one living room and kitchen. My
Mm.
most recent house is 6 bedrooms, so it was actually
Right.
5 bedrooms with 2 receptions, and I
Yeah.
converted one of the receptions into a bedroom, making it six, and then we
Okay.
had 2 bathrooms. So that's my sweet spot. I look for houses of that kind of size where I can have six, rooms, 7 rooms. Even today, I've been negotiating on. I put inquiries down on a 9 bedroom and a 15 bedroom as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So but it has to make sense. With stuff like 6 bedrooms with 6 people living in one house, you
Yeah.
want to make sure you have at least 2 bathrooms, because
Yeah.
6 people going to one bathroom,
No.
if they're all going to work in the morning, it'll be hell.
Yeah.
15 bed I think has about 4 bathrooms, which is good, so it can be divided. And then on the investment side, so that's a strategy called buy, refurbish, refinance, which is actually me going out and buying the properties. Now, where the investment comes in is, it obviously takes a lot more capital to do that. With the rent to rent stuff, on average, takes about 5 grand per project. But with the buy, refurbish, refinance stuff, those you're talking about, depending on where you're investing, on average about 50 grand, goes into these. So when I came across that strategy, it was great because I was like, I own these houses at the end of it. And I said to myself, okay, but I don't have 50 grand, 100 grand just sitting there. So how am I gonna get into this? And then what I fell on was creative financing, which is
Okay.
literally borrowing money from people.
Yeah.
So we might have and it's so crazy. Like, you do not realize the amount of money some people around you actually have available. So my approach is, I speak to people in my network, or I just put the word out. If you follow me on social media, you might see me posting it all the time. If you have money available to invest, please let me know. So I might so a real life scenario, actually, which is a project I have now. So the fund needed is 100,000 to do this project. So I will then go out and I'll speak to people. I'll be like, look, this is a project I'm doing. I'm trying to raise X amount of money. Are you interested? And they might say, what's in it for you? And then I'll ask, cool, well, where is the money right now? And they'll tell me it's just in the bank. And I'll be like, okay, cool. How much does the bank make you every year on that money?
Mm-hmm.
And I know the answer, which is probably anywhere from about 0.1 to 1%.
That's
And even
correct.
the 1%, they will tell you that's a high interest account.
That's the
You know?
gross, and then they will take the tax from there.
Exactly. And what a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know is what
Yeah.
I'm doing. This is what the banks do. The money we
Yeah.
keep in the banks, that's what they're using to trade and make money as banks. So
Right.
I would then say, okay, cool. Someone might say to me, yeah, Stephen, I have about 30,000 available. And I'll say, okay, cool. That 30,000, I can give you up to 10% return, which is
Okay.
fantastic in comparison to the bank. Because
Right.
if you don't give it to me, you're just going to leave it in the bank anyway. So I'll say, yeah, the 30,000, I can give you up to 10% return on that over 12 months. So we might then negotiate, either a monthly, return. So every month your interest is paid to you, or it could be an annual, which is what I prefer anyway, an annual lump sum payment of, the 10% interest plus your initial capital.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
I mean, this is fantastic. This is the fascinating stuff. So the question I have for you is that, why would I give you my £30,000?
mm,
If I have £30,000 in the bank,
mhm.
why would I give it to you?
2 reasons. One, you're not getting a good return on it. I'm offering you a better return than the bank. Two,
Okay.
it's based on relationship. and
Okay.
I can prove to you what I'm doing with your funds. You
So
know,
you got
so
track record.
yeah, I can show you this is a project that I've done. I'm
Okay.
trying to do more. I'm trying to do bigger of these. Or, sometimes a good starting point for anyone that's even listening that's interested in what I'm saying, a
Yeah.
good starting point is literally your friends and family. You'll
Right.
be surprised that for the younger, if there's any younger ones, you'll be surprised that an auntie or an uncle does have £50,000 they could lend you, does have 30 grand they could lend you. Even like some of our friends, for like people my age that are now in like really good professions, making good money, over time they might have been able to save about 25, 30,000 pounds after even buying their first property. And a lot of people, as we were saying earlier, they're afraid of investments.
Yeah.
They would rather do something like this, make a steady amount of money in a safer way and compound that money over time. So if you understand, it's for me it's two things. If you understand that, one, I'm offering you a better return than the bank. Two, you trust me, you believe in what I'm doing, and you know I'm going to deliver a good project. I don't see why you wouldn't invest.
And I think it's very important we talked about the track record, because there is something to you have something to show for it, because you've
Yeah,
talked about the number of properties that you manage at the moment
yeah,
using the HMO strategy,
hmm
getting the multiple occupants there, you
hmm
get them in. You can actually hold that person's hand and
yeah.
say to me, I can take you to these properties. I can point to
And
you that
show you.
these are
Yeah,
properties that I'm actually managing now, and it's the
yeah,
same strategy that I've used. I mean, very very interesting stuff. I mean, you doing all of this, and it's important that we remind our audience that you are only 24 years.
yeah.
No, no, no. It's very important that people get to understand that this is someone who is only 24 years, and you started off by using
Playing
what
drums.
cooking pans, drumming,
Some of
and
them
then
are still here. Some of the
you
same
still.
ones in the
It's
house.
always useful to keep some of those things. So you can create
Yeah,
a museum in your house just to remind you of how you started. It's always useful to know where you have come from.
yeah,
But
yeah.
for those who've only just joined us, this is Stephen. Stephen Asemedua is a young man who is doing so well. He's started off by playing in the band. He still plays in the band. He's a very excellent drummer, but he's also branched into not only drumming, but he trains young and prospective people who want to go into music and want to learn musical instruments. He's still got that running as well, whether it's
Mhm.
online or face to face. He does that. But he's also into property, and he's talking to us about some of the strategies that he's used in his property business. Rent to rent. You've talked about the rent to rent. Let's talk a little bit about it. Oh, you talk about investment as well, where
Yeah,
people can
yeah,
put
yeah,
their money in. So,
yeah.
so what are some of the challenges? What are some of the challenges that you face with that?
This one. This business, there's challenges. So being, like I said, I started in um I formed the business in February 2020.
Yeah.
So that's not a long time. So with the rent to rent structure, the professional term is company let or commercial lease. And a lot of when you're dealing with estate agents, it's a bit harder sometimes because they don't like what we do, because essentially a landlord can turn around and be like, I prefer to do this than the agent's taking money from me, because we don't charge agent. I don't charge landlords. I don't
Okay.
have any cost to them. So definitely acquiring properties quickly has not been easy, because a lot of agents, they don't really take to it. Some landlords want to see a big track record, like they want to see a massive track record. But I've
Right.
been privileged to have landlords that are like, again, with what I was saying about, they can just see like this is a young guy trying to do something really
Yeah.
good. I want to support him.
Yeah.
That's why they've come and taken me on. And I even one of my landlords sold their house the other day. So obviously our business relationship ended. But what I said to, that was the first house I ever had. And what
Yeah.
I said to her, I said, you don't know what you've done for me. Like, I was able to leverage this to be building what I have now. So that was really helpful for me. On the investment side, what's been challenging is just getting people to part ways with their money. A lot of people, I spoke to so many people about, investing funds with me. And I think the one thing I realized is, because I'm not a big company that I can show you like, I don't know, 50 different big developments that I've done.
Yeah.
It's like they almost feel like I want to see more, than a few. I want to see a lot more before I invest my money. I've had some people who are, they've been really interested in investing. It's just they take a bit longer. They might say to me, "Oh yeah, I need to speak to my wife," and which is fine. But it's just like I'm doing the business. I'm like, I need you to transfer the money like now, 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 now. So I know the money's locked in. So, but again, it's what I was saying earlier. Like those things, they don't dishearten me at all. It's just part of it because, and I sat the other day. I woke up and I was like, you know what, like I'm enjoying this because a time will come where I'll have like 50 developments running at a time. I have investors throwing money at me, and it's just like I'll remember these days where literally sometimes if I show you my call log, yeah, sometimes all I'm doing is calling different people that I know. This person could have some money. This person could have some money. Like just trying to get them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it sounds good, sounds good, sounds
But
good."
you haven't called me, Steven, so you don't really trust me. You don't think I have money.
We're on the call now, so everyone on the call now, you see me publicly pitch. You see me publicly pitch. So any transfers, well, it's confidential. Everything is confidentially signed, so I will never let anyone know that he invested. So yeah, I mean, it's just what I say to a lot of people. I just even if they say no, I would say, okay, do you know what?
That's
Like,
fine.
it's fine. Even if you don't,
Yeah.
I would appreciate you put the word out. Let people know like this is available because it might not be you, it might be someone else. And I think what it taught me is like just don't be afraid to ask because you'll be like it was shocking when I realized like some people I'm like, so all this time I've known you, you had this kind of money, you had this kind of money. Like some people could just throw you 100,000, 200,000. They could just throw it. You know what I'm saying? So don't and definitely don't underestimate anybody around you. One key thing mentor taught me was age.
Okay.
Some of our aunties and uncles, they've worked in this country for a long time. So they've built up a lot of money in savings and
Right.
pension and even pensions 5%, 4%, so they'll be happy to invest in a young person trying to do something. So
Yeah.
someone saying same age as me, wow, exactly. Like, you know, if you want to do something like that, go for it. Like, and the same rule applies to any business. It's not only
Right.
property. If you want to start,
Resilience.
yeah, if you want to start, I don't know, a hair shop, something, you might
Yeah.
need some capital to start. Ask
Well,
someone, ask a family member.
okay. What do you think are some of the limitations for young and budding entrepreneurs entering into a market like property market?
Um, I think the the stigma that's been created of you need so much money to go into it.
Okay.
That is one. Lack of knowledge is definitely a big one. It's a card I don't like to pull so much, but definitely sometimes being black is not always the easiest thing in that world as well. It's not always the easiest how like agents might talk to you and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, but I think the biggest thing is knowledge, like we we weren't educated these things in school.
Right.
A lot of us, and no disrespect to any of our parents, a lot of our parents didn't know these things either.
No.
So no one's at fault. But I always say I think it's up to us as the second generation of people that have come to this country from Ghana, Nigeria, all these places. We should acquire this knowledge to be able to pass on to the next generation, and that's how we build a lineage of greatness and wealth essentially because there's just information and assets to pass down to the generations to come.
Okay. So, you may have some people who sitting and listening to
Mm,
you today, and they think, look, you know what? I've heard so much of these.
mm,
I've been to courses.
mm,
I've acquired the knowledge. You're talking about knowledge.
mm.
I've gained the knowledge. I'm still not getting there. What would you say to someone like that?
I think it's a mental barrier, and mindset is very important in business.
Mindset.
That's probably the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably, do you know what? When I feel like I'm not getting the results I want, I honestly tell myself it's my own fault. Like I'm not pushing hard enough because I
Right.
just see it as it's nobody's fault. If someone can do something, I can actually do it as well.
Right.
So, and I think this day and age as well of social media, all we see, I always say, you have to remember with things like social media, it's just a snapshot of people's lives. It's not the reality of their lives. So, for
Okay.
example, someone could probably go through my social media, my Instagram, and be like, wow, this guy, like, you're doing property, you're touring. And I'm like, okay, but sit with me for a day and see how many phone calls I make, how many people say no on the phone. Sometimes I'm just smashing my head, like I'm like, this is hard, you know, but I just keep pushing myself. So
Right.
you have to have a very tenacious mindset and attitude that nothing can stop me. I'm going to, I think a powerful thing I've told myself is sometimes it's not about how long it takes, but it's how much can happen in a short space of time. You know, like
Okay.
so much can happen so quickly, like you'll be
Mm.
shocked. It's just like,
Okay.
how did this happen? But
Okay.
it's
Okay.
when you show people your hard work, people remember you, you know? So
Good. All right.
that's how it
I'm
goes.
conscious of the time. So
Yes, yes, yes.
um I was just gonna say that if you have any questions for Stephen, please put them in the chat, or if you have any questions for him after the program, you have to email them to
Yeah,
businessandexpertsforum@gmail.com. Businessandexpertsforum@gmail.com, and we would try as much as possible to send those questions to Stephen and then get back to you with the responses. So I don't really want you to go without talking a little bit about your crypto business, because I know you're also into cryptocurrency
yeah, a little
or into
bit.
crypto. So
Yeah,
what I know you haven't done much, but at
yeah,
least you've tried it.
yeah,
You see, that's the thing I like about you, Stephen. You try things.
yeah,
You don't give up.
yeah.
Okay, so tell just in a brief summary, what are
Yeah,
you
I
doing
mean,
about crypto?
again, the cryptocurrency stuff, it was something, it actually started with Forex. So when I was like 18, Forex was very popular, like very popular. Like a lot of guys were, you know,
So
showing
for
their,
those who don't know what forex is, foreign exchange.
yeah, foreign exchange. And
Yeah.
they were just, you know, currency trading, market trading, and they were just
Yes.
showing their flashy cars and they made X amount of money. I'm like, let me look into this. So I quickly realized, I mean, I studied again, I paid and went on courses and studied these things, but I was just like, I don't think this is for me, like sitting by a screen and reading charts. So then came the cryptocurrency stuff, and I just saw it, digital currency. You know, we had Bitcoin and
Hmm.
Ethereum and all these other coins came, and then again, all I did was I need the information. So I just
Right.
started surrounding myself and speaking to people that were doing it. And then it's just
Research.
conversations. I honestly, one of the coins, yeah, that has made me like some decent money came from I was playing somewhere and I saw this. I'm very big on my business is now centered around networking, you know,
Okay.
because I'm always looking for investors for projects. So
Right.
if I see someone that I feel like, yeah, this guy might have some money. So I'll just speak to them and asking the guy, what do you do? And he said he was telling me he's into cryptocurrency. And I'll never forget this. And then I said, oh, like that's something I'm interested in. Do you have any advice, like any picks I should buy? And he told me a coin, and I said, okay, cool. And he opened, I don't know why he did this, and he decided to open his crypto platform, and he showed me how much money that coin has made him. And I had never seen this kind of money in my life. I saw $45 million, and I was like, wow. So literally, he's like, this coin has not even started. Go and buy it. So I bought it, and then like in about 3 months' time, like I just went to it, and I had
Right.
made like 4 times my money. So I was just like, okay, this guy,
Mm.
he knew what he was talking about.
Okay. Okay. All right. Great.
Yeah,
So that's interesting. So you know what? We will definitely have to bring you back,
yeah,
Stephen,
yeah,
because
no,
there's
sure.
so much we can learn from you. I think we've got limited time.
Yeah.
What's the plan going forward? What's the next big thing in your personal or business life?
Yeah, so on the music side, there's a lot of projects going on. There is me and the guys, we have a mini tour we're doing from next month. So we'll do Birmingham, London, and Manchester. So yeah, everyone feel free to come and see a show. www.composers.co.uk. The tickets are there. From there, we'll go to Ghana and Nigeria and do a lot of stuff there as well. On the property side, um, shameless plug, there is a project that I have, which is a conversion project. And, so I'm just still raising the funds for that. So if anybody would like to invest, if you like what I said and you want to invest, send a message and we can obviously talk about everything. So we have that. That's a
Okay.
property I bought in Gravesend, as well as there's a few rent to rent projects that I'm looking at. On the future music services side, there's a lot of exciting things happening there actually. So now going into more partnerships with like schools
Right.
and stuff like that. So that's gonna be
Int-
happening from like next year, which is gonna be,
Interesting. It's
it's gonna be
interesting that as
exciting.
soon as I said that, what's the plan going forward, I saw in the chat someone is putting a lot of hearts.
Ah,
I don't know whether the hearts are for the business or the hearts are for the person, but okay, I'm not even going to go into that detail. I'm not going to go into that detail at all. And then, and I see that I see JOT is also put in the comment that says he wants to be. I want to be like Steven when I grow older. JOT, excuse me, JOT, you are much older than
you're
Steven.
way older than me. We're waiting for yours. Jeff is one of. I'll say it, Jeff is one of the guys that helped me with crypto. So
Okay,
you shouldn't
okay.
do that because he knows.
Right. So just so our audience know, the next guest on this program is going to be JOT.
Wow.
The next guest on the program is going to be JOT. JOT is, for those who don't know, it's deeply into photography. Man, technical director. Yeah, that's him there. He's deeply into photography. He's a handsome young man.
Handsome.
Yes, you can see deeply into photography. But the thing I like about JOT is that he's been in this business for what 11 years now. He started from a humble background, just like you, Stephen. Still very young, he's got very very strong ambitions. One of his ambitions is to be the main photographer for presidents. That is one of the things he's aspiring to be, and I think that's really encouraging. So for those who want to know about, as I say, keep saying talents and using talents to generate income, this is going to be another one. JOT is the one you want to listen to as well, because he's also like a hobby that he's developed into good business, and he travels around the world and he's making it big. And it's all started by one idea. Okay, just before you go, Stephen, I just want to recap some of the things that you've said. I mean, I don't have everything, but there's so much. But one thing that's really struck me was when you said about, oh, just by the way, you have a property company.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, I'll just ask my technical director to just put the clip for maybe 30 seconds. For those who don't know that you have a property company, so they can look you up online.
Yeah. So
It's
I mean, there's not a page,
Asamoah.
but it's all on my personal page. You see it there.
Yeah, we're looking for the So Asamoah Property Group, yes. So this is looking at properties that you can pick up and then transform, and then you can either let it as using an HMO strategies or things like that. So for those who want to go into property, you can see that for sure Steven is into the property.
Problem.
This is where your investment money goes.
Baby, this your body, the problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Technical Director. So I think the message is very clear. This man is done it. I mean, he said something about mindset change. And he said something about changing your mindset. A lot of us, we hear some of this information, but the question that you have to ask yourself is, what do I do with this? What do I do with this information that I've heard? What's my next step? Do I want to go and do some courses just to expand on what I've heard tonight? Or what exactly do I want to do with it? It's important that we keep asking ourselves that question. And it's always important that we have the discipline and resilience. I think that's one of the things that you highlighted as well. It's important that we are we should ignore stigmatization or stereotyping. Sometimes people are stereotyped. It doesn't matter what people will think about you. It's about what you do with yourself. So just have that mindset where you just push and never give up, and be curious about things. Because one of the things you also mentioned, Stephen, is you're a very curious person. When you hear about something, you don't stop there. You go and research into it.
Yeah.
And when you research and you gain the knowledge, you will use the knowledge to develop yourself. And that is how come you are a music property guru, and you are a millionaire. There's a millionaire now. So
Amen. I'm on my way.
Thank you very much for coming on this program, Stephen. We will definitely ask you to come back, because we're going to probably be looking at some of those strategies, taking one at a time, just to delve into them a bit more.
Okay.
What advice do you have for the younger generation? There's a question in the chat. What advice do you have for the younger generation?
I would say I think one thing that's taken me far is just a humble spirit and be teachable. That's very, very important. No matter how far you go, I get this a lot as well, because I'm someone I reach out to people a lot, and they'll come to me and be like, but you're this musician, you're doing your thing. What do you need us for? And I'm like, I want to learn, So
Okay.
don't think you know too much. Don't think you're too young. You're not too young. nowadays we see young kids doing ridiculous things and becoming multi-millionaires.
Right.
So definitely go out there and just keep, a positive mindset. That's very important. Just, stay on course, stay focused, be disciplined, have the right mindset, get rid of any negative distractions, and just don't be afraid. Literally,
Yeah.
we're young, we have years to make mistakes, try things and fail, make mistakes. So just go out there and go for it.
Useful, very useful advice. Well done, Stephen. And for those who didn't get the beginning of the program, this is Stephen. Stephen is young man who is really developed himself. He started off as a 6-year-old by just drumming on cooking pans, and he's grown up into a very massive, well-known drummer, getting sponsorship from everywhere. He's part of a band, the composers who are doing really well. If you want to look them up, you'll find out that they are doing really well. He hasn't stopped there. He's also delved into properties, and he's doing so many things with properties out of the ordinary. It's kind of thinking out of the box with properties, also about cryptocurrency. I mean, this is somebody we need to bring back. This is why this program is good, because we look at people, we listen to people who are just like you and me, ordinary people like you and me, who have turned their life around because they've identified something that they can share with you and I. So
Can I
that's the
also
whole idea
say,
of,
sorry to cut you, even for
yeah,
the adults as well,
yeah,
don't be like, I meet people who are like 40 and they've just started doing property, and by 45 they're millionaires, so it doesn't,
yeah.
you're never too old to try something. That's just another thing I want to add, definitely.
Okay. As I said, if you have questions for Stephen after this program, I will ask you to send those to businessandexpertsforum@gmail.com, and then we'll try and get you responses back. And always remember, please remember to subscribe to the channel, because we got a lot more things coming up on this channel, so that when it's time to learn something, you get the notification, and then you can then join in the conversation. So Stephen, thank you very much
Thank you
for
for having
coming on
me.
the program. We'll definitely bring you back. Thank you for taking time off your busy schedule to come on. And
No
as I say, every time we have this program, for you out there, the audience, without you, the program goes nowhere. So thank you also for being out there. Please spread the word. This is free. As I say, every time we have a program, it only costs you about 45 to 50 minutes of your time every 2 weeks. That's all it costs you to join this program. So please join in the program, and please look out for JOT coming up. I'll send the details after this program. Thank you for joining us once again. See you next time. This is Marcus saying, until next time, bye for now, and thanks for watching.